It is time to get our weekly weather update now with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist Eric Hunt. Eric, a bit of rain fell across the region, as I mentioned earlier here in the broadcast, but some producers are still wishing for a bit more. Have any more rain coming up in your forecast?
Well, thanks, Bryce. We do indeed have some precipitation forecast for most everybody in the state the next week to 10 days. We also have some warmer temperatures. So again, we are expecting temperatures to be consistently above normal for most of this next week, particularly Monday and then again later in the week. We are looking at a cold front moving through, though, Monday night and Tuesday morning, and that should bring some decent chances of moisture, particularly on the I-80 corridor out into the parts of the Sandhills. Exact amounts are probably a little bit hard to determine at this point, but I would guess a lot of places will get a quarter to half inch, maybe a little bit more. Then we should have a couple of days of sunny weather, drier conditions, and temperatures probably at least in the 70s for most everybody. But later in the week, we turn our attention toward another trough moving the southwestern United States. Now, this presence is pretty much a guarantee at this point, but how quickly it will eject out into the central U.S. is a little bit uncertain at this point. But I would say by the end of next week, there is a relatively good chance of there being some pretty decent chance of precipitation, also chances for severe weather, particularly central and eastern portions of the state. That should bring decent chances of moisture. So again, this is a probability of receiving 1 inch or more precipitation by the end of next weekend. So very good chances across north central, northeastern, and eastern Nebraska, and even some chances of this getting some decent moisture across parts of southwestern Nebraska where we could really absolutely use it at this point. CPC is relatively bullish on moisture across a very good portion of the U.S. They are also pretty bullish on it being warm later in the month. Again, I think this generally is going to come to fruition, but there's probably going to be a day or two in here toward the end of the month, maybe the first part of May, where it will be a little bit cooler. In terms of recent precipitation, again, most of the state did pick up some decent precipitation amounts last week, particularly here across northeastern Nebraska, where some places had over 4 inches of rain. Our highest total was in western Wayne County with just under 5 inches this week. Where we did miss out, though, was in the far southwestern corner of the state, where we did see some degradation on the drought monitor. More on that here in just a second. We also had some severe weather reports. On Monday, we had a couple tornadoes in Webster County, also some wind reports in other parts of central Nebraska. Then on Tuesday, we had a couple tornadoes in Platte and Colfax counties. Soil temperatures right now generally are in the mid-50s to low 60s across the state. Now, again, these will be coming down later this week with the cooler temperatures that we are expecting at the end of this week. In terms of drought monitor, we did see a little bit of expansion of D0 into Hitchcock and Dundee counties. And one of the reasons for that is just, again, this persistent area of just low soil moisture percentiles. Again, now this was before we started getting some rain Thursday morning in parts of southeastern Nebraska. But even with the rain that we did get across east central Nebraska, we didn't really make much improvement in terms of our soil moisture percentiles. So we definitely need more moisture to get in the ground before we head into summer in this part of the state. Generally good across the northern part of the state. And again, we did see some decent improvement here across northeastern Nebraska, where now we're quite wet. Another reason we are seeing the degradation, we are seeing some stress on vegetation, particularly in the rangelands here across parts of Chase and Dundee counties. Again, another reason we saw the expansion of D0 in that area. And also just want to point out that the North American Drought Monitor was released recently. Again, a lot of Canada and a lot of Mexico and the southwestern U.S. is in drought, and that is expected to maybe expand northward in the next couple of months. Thanks, and back to you, Bryce.